I am Thelma Castillo, the President and the CEO of the Blue Water Area Chamber of Commerce, and I am excited to welcome everyone here today. You really should congratulate yourselves. What a great turnout for this State of the County address. I'm very excited to welcome everyone to the great city of Marysville. The Chamber would also like to thank you for attending the 13th annual State of the St. Clair County address. For the past 13 years, this has been an annual event that brings together community leaders, government leaders, members of the business community, and the one thing we all have in common is a vested interest in the continued growth and prosperity of the Blue Water region. The Chamber has been fortunate to be able to host this event, and we want to thank St. Clair County, who also happens to be the 2019 March Member of the Month. St. Clair County has been a strong supporter of the Chamber, and we continue to appreciate the support given to our organization. Today, you'll be able to hear from our U.S. Senator, our State Senator, Commissioner Chair, County Administrator Controller, and Marysville Mayor regarding all the great things happening in our communities. That does not happen by accident. We all work together to make our region stronger, and that was reflected in the 2018 article in Crain's Detroit Business called A Collaborative Approach to Economic Development Pays Off in St. Clair County. We know if we work together to make our region stronger, our region will shine brighter, and others will want to come visit, start a business, or live here so they too can enjoy all the assets we have in our region. It is my pleasure at this time to introduce Aaron Hewlett, who is the chair of the Blue Water Area Chamber of Commerce. Since 2009, Aaron has been with Michigan Mutual Mortgage. He is a residential mortgage specialist with over 20 years of mortgage lending experience. He has originated hundreds of loans with a focus on giving clients great service and advice. In 2018, he began his chairmanship of the Chamber, and the Chamber is very fortunate to have someone like him who is highly respected in the community and is very supportive of the Chamber in this leadership role. Please join me in welcoming Aaron to the podium.
Thank you, Thelma. Let's give Thelma a round of applause. She's done such a phenomenal job with the Chamber. This is exciting. Look at this room. Did you know there's almost 500 of you in here today? That's pretty amazing. So give yourselves a round of applause, too, for being here and taking the time out of your schedule. I want to start by recognizing and thanking some people that are in the room with us today. We have several elected and appointed officials in the audience with us. Could you stand if you're a local, state, county, or government official, or federal? Come on, everyone stand up. All right, give them a round of applause. The Chamber wants to express our gratitude and appreciation for your dedication. Thank you very much. We're also very fortunate to have several sponsors today for this event. You can see some of them on the banner behind me. Our primary sponsors are AT&T, Eastern Michigan Bank, McLaren Port Huron, ITC Holdings, DTE Energy, and Enbridge. We also have several other supporting sponsors: Lake Huron Medical Center, Blue Cross Blue Shield, BMJ Engineers and Surveyors, Physicians Healthcare Network, the EDA of St. Clair County, and Blue Water Developmental Housing, and Semco Energy. Let's give them a round of applause, too. There is absolutely no way we could put on events like this today or the things that we do throughout the year without their support and other members' support as well. So thank you very much. I'd also like to recognize two groups of people from the Chamber. Could I have my board members stand, please? I know Ginger is here. I don't know if Mallory's here. We've got quite a few people. Neil. Let's give them a round of applause. They give their time, their resources, and we get them up at 7:30 a.m. They probably get up at 5 or 6, but our meetings are at 7:30 a.m. once a month, so I know Matt Brooks appreciates that. I'd also like to acknowledge some committed volunteers that helped make today happen from our Public Affairs Committee. That's our advocacy arm. This is a strong group of people with the Chamber. If you're in the room, could you please stand up? I know there's a few of them in here today. They're in the back there, Scott and Marty. Thank you very much for what you guys do. I want to share a story with you before we have the next speaker come up. It's kind of a shortened version of it, but it's a story I read a long time ago, and it's about an ambitious young man. As a matter of fact, he was so ambitious that he went into government work and eventually became very successful. This story kind of reminds me of our community and kind of where we've come from and maybe where we're headed. Over time, he had been hearing about the disrepair of his family's hometown. It weighed heavy on his heart because he knew it could be a much better place. Instead of looking the other way and living his comfortable life, he took action. He asked his boss for an extended leave to go and help the city. When he got there, the first thing he did was assess the situation to see what needed to be done. He found that no one worked together. Everyone seemed to only be concerned with their own interest. Through a lot of work and much opposition, he was eventually able to unify the people that lived there, and he got them all to work together. They eventually restored their own city. That community's return to prosperity would not have happened without two things: his willingness to take action and the people's collaboration with each other to get things done. Once that city was brought back to life, then it really went on to grow and prosper. I feel our county is at that point. We've been brought back to life the past several years. Now it's time for us to work on our next chapters so that we can continue to develop and thrive. My ask is that we don't forget the collaboration that it took to get us here. Look to see what you can do to help your neighbor today. If you're not sure where to start, log on to the Chamber's website. There's a lot of information on there. There is a lot of events and opportunities that you can plug into. This all kind of reminds me of one of my favorite quotes, and I've said it at a couple of Chamber events this year. It's a quote by the late Jim Rohn, and it's this: each of us need all of us, and all of us need each of us. I'll say it one more time. Each of us need all of us, and all of us need each of us. Next, we have Mr. Neil Bishop coming up. Neil's an area manager for ITC Holdings. Prior to his role with ITC, he was Deputy Chief of Staff to the Speaker of House for Michigan House of Representatives. He's currently a trustee for Marlette Community Schools and a board member for the Blue Water Area Chamber. All right. Please welcome Neil to the podium. Thanks, Neil. You can step up there, buddy.
Yeah, make a big step. All right. Thank you, Aaron. Can everybody hear me okay? All right. Like Aaron said, I'm Neil Bishop with ITC Holdings. I represent the company in this region for local government and community affairs. I see a lot of familiar faces in the room, and but for those of you who don't know, ITC owns and operates the high voltage electric transmission system throughout the Lower Peninsula, the Great Plains, and the Midwest states. Those are those large lattice structures and steel monopoles that you see at a lot of the substations. And we're happy to partner with the Chamber and a lot of the businesses and communities in this region. And if you want to partner with the Chamber and businesses and communities in this region, talk to Thelma or Joyce before you leave here today, and make sure that you sign up for a membership with the Chamber if you haven't already, but make sure you do that today. I am honored and privileged to introduce our keynote speaker today. That's U.S. Senator Gary Peters. Senator Peters is honored to represent the state of Michigan in the U.S. Senate. Throughout his career in public service, he has been a strong voice for Michigan's families and small businesses. He's currently working in the Capitol well with both parties, and he is a strong independent voice for Michigan, so much so that he was recently named one of the most effective senators by the Nonpartisan Center for Effective Lawmaking. And he was also ranked the 4th most effective senator of the minority party in advancing and enacting legislation in the last Congress. He currently serves on the Senate Armed Services Committee, Senate Commerce, Science, and Transportation Committee, the Joint Economic Committee, and as the ranking member of the Senate Homeland Security and Government Affairs Committee. Born in Michigan and a lifelong resident of Michigan, Senator Peters is a champion for our state. He is a champion for this county, and he is a champion for the communities and the people that he serves. Ladies and gentlemen, Senator Peters.
Well, thank you, Neil, and good afternoon, everyone. It is wonderful, wonderful to be here at this chamber. You know, I get the privilege of traveling all across the state and have the opportunity to be at a lot of chamber events, but I can honestly say this is one of the biggest chamber events that I've been to. Congratulations, you really know how to pack them in here. This is really amazing. And I know that just doesn't happen. Thelma, thank you for your leadership here. It's about bringing everybody together and organizing this, but it's also a credible sense of community. Whenever I have an opportunity to get into St. Clair County, and recently when we did a bus tour with many of the leaders here as we traveled around to take a look at all the sites from the Inn on Water Street in Marine City. We were at the St. Clair Inn, and congratulations on the work you're doing there. ZF in Marysville, Sperry's Theater. I mean, the list goes on. As I come here today, too, every time there's something new happening. And something new happening, and the energy that we're seeing in the county doesn't just happen as well. And it is about a community coming together, understanding that all these challenges that we face, and we face some significant ones, the only way you can do it is when you come together. And you demonstrate that today by having over 500 people at the chamber coming out to hear from the speakers about what's going on in the county. And you're not here just as passive listeners. You're here like, how can we get engaged? How can we contribute to everything that is happening? And I appreciate that, and I applaud each and every one of you. As I mentioned, I'll say a few things of some of the things I'm working on that I think have direct impact to St. Clair County, and things that we're going to continue to work, and I look forward to working with all of you on these issues as well. As Neil mentioned, I'm the ranking member on Homeland Security and Government Affairs Committee. So we oversee the Department of Homeland Security. It's nothing controversial. It's just border security and immigration. So you don't probably hear a lot about those things. They're not in the press all that often. So I thought I'd spend a little time talking about them today. And one of my jobs as the ranking member on that committee, as I continually remind my colleagues in the Senate, there's a northern border in this country as well. It's not just the southern border. That's all we hear about. And the southern border is important. I'm not discounting any of that. We've got to make sure that we keep ourselves secure. There isn't anything more important than that, to make sure that we're secure. But we also have a northern border, and there are needs that we have here. You certainly have them in this county as well. I also remind my colleagues, Michigan is the second longest border of any state in the country except Alaska in terms of an international border. We need to have a focus, and as we're talking about border security and how we manage the very difficult job that the Department of Homeland Security has, I mean, they have two roles, and these two things are difficult to do at the same time. First, keep us safe. Always number one. Keep us safe, keep our borders safe, control the borders, no question about that. But the second is, how do you move people and cargo and trade across the border as efficiently as possible? Especially for us here in Michigan, with the tremendous trade that we do with Canada and how vital that is to our economic well-being. The other thing I remind my colleagues is that if Michigan were a country, we would be the second largest trading partner with Canada. That's how important we are. And we know of border crossing here in Port Huron is central to that. And of the three busiest border crossings in America, 2 of them are in Michigan. Laredo, Texas is number 1, then Detroit, Windsor, and right here in Port Huron, number 3 in terms of the volume of traffic. So we are at the very center of that. And we need to have the resources to invest to do both of those functions. I worked with my Republican colleague, Senator Cornyn, on legislation that we just recently passed to have the Department of Homeland Security do a complete overview of all of the ports of entry, to really get down into the weeds and have a comprehensive analysis, something we haven't really, surprisingly, hadn't done in such a manner in the past, to take a look at what are the threats, what are the opportunities at our ports of entry, where do we need to make more investments, and where do we have to strengthen our abilities to accomplish that mission. That bill is passed. The work is going on now. We should be getting reports here in the next few months. And I think it's important that we do that for a couple reasons. One is that we have to spend taxpayer money as efficiently as possible. But I think I think it's very important to highlight the ports of entry that we have in Michigan. This report's going to do that in a very, very loud way. And it was interesting, Senator Cornyn's from Texas, I'm from Michigan, are 2 very vital states a part of border security. And what I think the report is going to show, and I'm going to be pushing this very aggressively, is that we've got to expand the ports of entry facilities in Port Huron. We've got to get that plaza built. It has to be done. It has been way too long since any of that has happened. Here the city went through and condemned property. You've got open land. It makes no sense. The federal government really dropped the ball, plain and simple, when it comes to that. And I talked to Secretary Nielsen about that. She was in my office about 2 weeks ago, and I've encouraged her to be focused on this. I hope she's going to come up here. I've invited her. She hasn't said yes yet, but I don't take no for an answer. We're going to keep working so she can see exactly what's happening here, so it becomes a priority for us here in the St. Clair County area, which is going to be vital. I mean, as more and more trade comes across, that is about the economic viability of this whole area, and we can expand that, I think, pretty dramatically. The other issue I want to touch on outside of border security is the other thing that I know everybody here cares about is the quality of the water in the Great Lakes. There isn't anything more important than the Great Lakes. It's as Michiganders, it's basically in our DNA, and we're going to do everything we can to protect it, to make sure they stay vital, they stay clean. Given the fact that the Great Lakes not only are incredibly valuable for recreation and boating and all the wonderful things that happen on the St. Clair River, it also provides drinking water for 40 million Americans. 40 million Americans. We have to do everything we can to protect them. And right now, we are working in a bipartisan way, pushing back on the president's budget, which calls for a slashing of Great Lakes restoration funding. I think many of you have been involved in some of those projects. We've seen projects here in Marine City and other places to really restore some of the natural filtering processes so that we can keep the lakes clean from sewage overflows, from other overflows from land, clean up some of the old legacy toxic waste dumps. We've been doing this all across the Great Lakes region, and Michigan is the primary beneficiary of these restoration funding, and incredibly important for local communities. In fact, I'm heading from here. I'm going to be with Candace Miller in Macomb County. Mark, talk about some incredible programs you've been doing in Macomb County as well. So both St. Clair and Macomb, all of us use that. Unfortunately, the president has a 90% cut in his budget for that. Every year he's cut 90 to 100, but I'm happy to say every year we've been able to put it back in, and we've done it in a bipartisan way. Democrats, Republicans coming together to say this is important. And I think the other thing that is significant about that, and we'll do it again, but it'll take some work, but what's significant about this is that we've been able to see more support around the country. And this, I think, bodes really well for any projects that we're doing and working here in St. Clair County with the Senate broadly. You know, in Congress or in the Senate, you have partisan differences, which you all know very well about. But a lot of times partisan differences aren't there. We come together like we do in the Great Lakes. But then there are regional differences. You know, somebody isn't going to think, why are we spending money in the Great Lakes when we could be doing it in Arizona or Florida or wherever it may be. And we have to convince other senators. I have learned of the 100 senators, 98 of them think their state is more important than Michigan. So I don't know where that comes from. I would think they'd all think Michigan's the most important. But it takes some work in order to do that. But when it comes to Great Lakes restoration funding, when it comes to a variety of other things I've done to protect the Great Lakes, we have gotten nearly unanimous support from folks on both sides across the country. That didn't happen in the past. That is a big change that we're seeing now. Folks realize that the Great Lakes are not just an important asset for Michigan or for the Midwest. They're an important asset for the United States. This is a national asset, and we're entrusted as Michiganders to make sure we keep this incredible asset going forward. The other area I'll touch on that I think has great promise for all of us here in St. Clair County as well as Michigan, and the work that I do on the Commerce Committee deals with the next big thing for the auto industry. In fact, probably as big as when the first car came off of the assembly line, and that's self-driving vehicles and autonomy. And Michigan is uniquely positioned, obviously from the auto industry, to be there for that, but even more importantly, to be the center of advanced manufacturing and technology in all areas. You have a lot of that here in St. Clair County, a lot of auto parts manufacturers. Manufacturing is a big part. The one thing that we do in Michigan better, I believe, than anybody in the country is we know how to make stuff, whether it is automobiles, whether it's military equipment, advanced avionics. We know how to do that, and we got to make sure we keep it. So it's central to the long-term future, the economic future for our state and for St. Clair County and the region, is to make sure Michigan stays as the leader. This is happening a whole lot quicker. You know, people hear about self-driving cars and they're thinking, well, when is that going to happen? That sounds kind of science fiction. But I will tell you, General Motors is still on track General Motors expects to have a level 4 car. They're level 1 through 5, level 4 car, which basically means it really doesn't need brakes. It doesn't need steering wheel because it drives itself in a geofenced area, but completely drives itself. And they're going to have it in a commercial market where you will pay to ride. It's kind of cool to ride in a self-driving car to get you from point A to point B. You'll pull up on your app. It'll probably be like a Lyft or an Uber. And you pull up and a self-driving car will come pick you up and take you to point A to point B. And they expect to launch that at the end of this year in San Francisco. That's how quick this is happening. And General Motors, thankfully, is one of the real leaders. In fact, the Orion plant in Oakland County will be the center for the manufacturing of these cars. They're already designing the assembly line to be able to start building that. And I'll say one of the biggest factors for us, which is exciting not just for the economy, is that it's about safety. Is that when you think about accidents, auto accidents, 95% of all accidents are the result of human error. And distracted driving is now seeing an increase in all the crazy things that people do behind the wheel that they shouldn't be doing. You need something that's focused and can eliminate some of that. And the engineers believe we can eliminate nearly all of those crashes. Not all, there'll still be some, but nearly all of them. And so when you think about that, and you think about the fact that on our nation's highways this year, nearly 40,000 people will die on our highways. Over 100 people are going to die today. As we go home, 100 people died on our highways. Most all of it human error. If we can eliminate most of that, that's really a big deal. That's a huge deal. Not to mention the hundreds of thousands of people who are seriously injured and debilitated as a result of that. So that is going to be an incredibly exciting development. But what's exciting for us from a state, too, and as a location for economic growth and development, is that in order for this technology to work, the cars to work, you need to have artificial intelligence and machine learning to pilot these cars through these complicated environments. And when and really, this is like the moonshot for AI. And we often think that it's Silicon Valley that's doing all this, and they are. They're doing a lot of that work. And Silicon Valley, of course, is a powerhouse for advanced technology. But because of autos, they realized they got to be here. In fact, a couple years ago, I was, and I'm there regularly, but a couple years ago in Silicon Valley meeting with some of these tech companies. And I was with one of those tech companies, and they said to me, they said, Senator, you know, we're developing the artificial intelligence and the machine learning to pilot these cars through cityscapes. And we thought, you know, while we're doing that, maybe we should just make the cars too. Yeah. Of course, they were also pretty candid with me. Then they came back and they said, you know, we thought we were going to make the cars. Then we went to Detroit and we went to an auto factory. Wow, that's really a complicated business that you have there. And it's like, yes, it is. And you know, here in St. Clair County, the manufacturers you hear, this is a complicated business. You got supply chains. Everything has to work with precision. We've got our trade with Canada that's coming back and forth to building cars, and they've got to be built so they can go through all sorts of weather conditions. They got to go through potholes occasionally too, I guess. You know, all of that, and it's different when you have a computer crash in Silicon Valley. It's a lot different than a car crash. And we know how to do that here in Michigan. And we know how to do it better than anybody. And so now, now those companies are realizing we got to partner with our auto companies. And we're partnering with them. They do what they do really well, too. But you're seeing those companies now come to Michigan, from Microsoft to NVIDIA to Waymo. We will be the center. And what's exciting to me about this is that we won't just be the center of self-driving cars. We're going to be the center for artificial intelligence, machine learning, will be happening here in our great state. And so I'll kind of leave you with a thought of where we're going with that, is that when you think about the last century, it was the auto industry that really powered this incredible economy in this country. It created the American middle class with the assembly line and mass production. A lot of what we have all came through Michigan at the beginning of the last century. And once again, it's going to be the auto industry. And all of the incredible work that we do here in this state, and the talent we have in this state, and the skills that we have in this state, that will now be the center of not just this new auto industry, but AI, advanced learning, all of those capabilities. And Michigan will be the center of it. We got to play our cards right. We've got to work, and we got to leverage things like the Defense Corridor in Macomb County and places here in St. Clair to do it. We've got to make sure we're training our people properly. We got to have career technical training in this state, so that everybody doesn't need to go get a 4-year degree. If they want to do it, it's great. If you want to get a 2-year degree, that's great. But there are great middle-class jobs with skills training. We've got to make sure everybody, no matter where they live, no matter who they are, can get the kind of training to be able to seize the opportunities that we're going to be seeing going forward. And Michigan is uniquely placed to do that. And I can't think of a better place for some of that to happen than right here in St. Clair County, because you need people who are understanding that big vision, and they're willing to work together, and they're going to make sure that everybody has those opportunities and can make a difference. People who believe in their community, believe in the future, and that's each and every one of you. It's an honor to be with you here today, and thank you for allowing me to say a few words. Have a great lunch.
Thank you again, Senator. We really appreciate that. Appreciate you taking time out of your schedule and coming up here to visit us today. At this time, I'd like to introduce Jeff Bohm. Jeff is the County Commissioner Chair for St. Clair County. Jeff was elected to the commission in 2004 and has actually been the chair since 2011. He currently sits on several other boards, Blue Meets Green Leadership Council and the EDA of St. Clair County. Please join me in welcoming Jeff Bohm.
Well, Senator Peters, I'd like to thank you for coming out. I think this is like the 5th time in the last year that I've seen you out here. Really, you get a chance to come to our community, and I'd like to thank Kevin, your assistant, because he's always here. And I just want to clarify something on the potholes. Those are only in Macomb County, and we don't have any here in St. Clair County. So I just need to recognize some of my commissioners that are sitting over here. Thank you for being in your attendance. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about it. Kind of broke it down into 3 things. To the region, to the projects, to people. And I'd like to thank Thelma for helping me. She put this PowerPoint together, so if there's any flaws in it, please blame Thelma. Talk about the region. So recently we had a meeting with the Detroit Regional Prosperity Group. And the 11-county region that they identified that we're now part of, which essentially is 2 hours away from here, there's 5.4 million people that live in that region, okay? And the thing that really struck me with that is that would make us the 23rd largest state in the country. If you look at the numbers there, we're larger than South Carolina, Alabama, and Louisiana. So as we continue to build out this county with, all these great assets, we've got 5.4 million people 2 hours away. As I always say, hey, Traverse City, that area is nice. It's 4.5, 5 hours, right? So let's work on tapping that. Where's my, I'm technically challenged, so how do I move this PowerPoint? The arrow. All right, there we go. All right, I got it. So regional partnerships, we talk a lot about this. For those that you don't recognize who that is, I am the younger, good-looking man with a full head of hair on the left, and Mr. Hackle is the elderly gentleman with the receding hairline on the right. And I'll do serious. I talk a lot about this, how important. I got an opportunity to go to the Macomb County State of the County every year and to hear all the great things that are happening in Macomb County. And making no mistake, due to Mark's leadership and his team, JP here with him, Macomb County is so very important for us. 35% of our people work in Macomb County. I know you hear me talk about that, but that is how important Macomb County is to St. Clair County. So I'd just like to commend you on your leadership and all the great things that you got going on down there. And then we talk a little bit about our recognition. And this doesn't happen by accident. This happens by design, right? We work together. We continue to tell our story. That's the front page of Cranes in 2016, 2017, 2018. It's been great. I'll tell you what, when you get a chance, you go to these other functions. I do a lot of stuff in Macomb. Hey, I saw you guys in Cranes. You really got some great things going on up there. Investments. We're going to talk about a few different things here. Port Huron, our grocery store. Steve and Michelle, are you guys in the room? Stand up, please. Steve and Michelle. Pretty interesting story. Moved here in 2012 from Alaska. You heard the winters were a little bit better down here, right? And they've had some investments in some local restaurants. They are currently doing the grocery store and just have fell in love with this community and want to invest. As you always said, you're spending your grandchildren's inheritance, your kids' inheritance here. And I'm going to actually digress here for 1 second. I want my folks from Marine City, if you're in the room, to stand up, please. I saw Laura, saw the mayor earlier. Okay. Here's something that happened. We are thrilled to inform you that your application for the longest popcorn string has been successful, and you are now in the Guinness World Records title holder. Marine City. Very cool. DTE. Can't tell you how excited we were to get this. $1 billion investment in our county. DTE represents 11.5% of our entire SEV. So to say that we're not thrilled, Ron, Chris, thank you for your continued investments. Got a little housekeeping detail again before I get in this next slide. There's some handouts on your table. We'd handed these out. We had a forum last night, talk about the old middle school development, and really this has St. Clarin Middle School, some other things. And I'm extremely technically challenged, but if I'm not mistaken, if you want continued updates, you type the number on your phone, correct me if I'm wrong, 484848, text Blue Water, and I'll get you on the list for continued updates on all these particular projects. So here is a couple different slides. We've got the St. Clarin. As you all know, I'm a St. Clair kid, so arguably the project that excites me more than anything is the redevelopment of the St. Clair Inn. And I'd like to thank my city council members. I saw them from St. Clair here in the room to continue to work together to help move these investments. It's so important. Along with the folks from City of Port Huron, we've got the Harrington Inn project, and I've got the architect Vince Cataldo is with us today, who's spearheading these projects. Vince did the Inn on the Water Street, the Cadillac House, St. Clair Inn, and Harrington. And I have one other thing. Is Mayor Damon available by chance? You need to. I'd like to say a couple words, won't you? Sure.
Good morning. Welcome. This is an announcement that has been 96 years in the making. Luckily, I have only had to wait for about 4 of those years. In 2015, we raised the DTE site that had stood over the city of Marysville since 1922 in hopes of having a redevelopment on that site. For the first time ever, I am very pleased to announce that Jeff Katofsky will be expanding his real estate empire in St. Clair County, as he has entered into an agreement to buy the DTE site and redevelop it into mixed use and residential. Jeff.
All right, I got a little present for him. So when you go to the State of the County in Macomb, I can guarantee you I've never seen Hackle give a bottle of booze away. This happens to be Jeff's favorite stuff here. So on behalf of St. Clair County and the city of Marysville, there's your McCown.
My liver hates you. Thanks, my liver is screaming. Jeff looks good in a tie, by the way, doesn't he?
Not often.
Thank you for giving me a couple of minutes today, and thank you, Mayor Damon. To me, the Marysville project is going to be the linchpin and really our plan out here, which is to give you 2 4-star resorts that are now going to have a retail aspect in the middle. And it's retail and residential. We've got a lot of planning to do, a lot of building to do. You won't see anything happen really in 19 there. But the retail experience is we try to bring a whole lot of people of those 5.4 million and beyond that Jeff is talking about into the county. They need a place to shop too. And while we have a lot of great shops, we need more, and we need more retail. And if we're going to bring 2 or 2,500 people a week into the county, which is what we hope to do, we need to add some shopping experience. And as those people come in, they'll realize what I realize is they need more places to live too. So we'll build some residential out there. That is the plan. We're going to add a lot of jobs. You know, already with the 2 hotels, we're looking at something north of 300 jobs. Now we'll talk about a lot more jobs in Marysville. And as we've expanded from just St. Clair now throughout the county, it's important that we help people get good jobs and get good people, and we want to keep those jobs here and use people here from both St. Clair County and Macomb County, get them working here. Maybe we can knock that 35% number down to 30% and get some more jobs here. There are really 3 main things that make this a developer's dream. I'm 2,500 miles away. I live in California because I don't like winter. And what makes it easy for me is a couple things. One is I think you guys are all jaded. I've said this before. You don't see what I see when I come out here. It's gorgeous. It is like nothing you've ever seen. And I think that because you've grown up in it and you live here and you work here, that you don't necessarily notice it. I see it. I come out, and you don't understand your real estate. I do. Thank you for not getting it. The second thing is the community out here is phenomenal. I have been taken in as a friend and as a business partner, and all of you. And I've dealt with a lot of you, and I dealt with people in the street. Everybody's fabulous. I mean, it really makes it easy for us to come in and be welcomed. And whether it's me or my partner Rick or my other staff or the people that we bring in, we try to keep as much local as we can, and we have. But it really makes it a big difference. And then the other piece of it is to have progressive, cooperative local government like you have here, from a city level, from a county level, from a state level, for you to allow us to take our vision, a vision that I think most of you share, and to build it and cooperate with us so that we can get it done in an expeditious manner. It is something that I certainly have not had in other places in the country that I have developed. It is the best place that I have ever developed, and I can't imagine it being any better. And so I really thank you for that. The last thing is we are, as we get busier, it is getting harder for me to do events. I did one last night in St. Clair, and I love doing them because I can answer questions. But the information is coming out too fast. And so that's why when Jeff mentioned, if you can grab your smartphones, and when you text 484848, you text the word Blue Water, all run together, it gives you a prompt, and that will get you to the informational site. You can check on what you want to know about. If you only want to know about what we're doing at the St. Clair, you can actually do that. But we're going to announce the jobs through there and how we're updating all the projects. It's a way for us to get information to you almost instantaneously, and I hope that you take advantage of that. And thank you for giving me a couple of minutes up here. Appreciate it.
So when you think about St. Clair County, you talk about the state of the county, it's really about the state of the people. And I want to recognize some people today and just go through a few of the slides. These are just, Thelma put together some of the community members receiving different awards throughout the year. So Crane's businesswomen, I know I saw Donna running around there earlier, but thank you for everything that you guys do to continue, like I said, just to make it a better place. The Alumni of the Year, and Randy Fernandez is on vacation. He did want to be here, and sends his regards. The Blue Water Woman of the Year. I think if you look closely, I think Carrie Hepting was a recipient of that in one year. We've got the Blue Water Area Chamber Eddie Award, Scotty Beeden. Scotty, are you in the room? Thank you for your persistence. I'll tell you, there's a guy right there, Sperry's Movie Theater, City Flats Hotel, the vision to continue to work. That's the kind of things that we need to push it forward. Michigan Association of Broadcasters. Paul Miller. I don't know if Paul's in the room, but I'd like to give Paul a congratulations. He always continues to cover our area. I wish his show was on 6 p.m., not 6 a.m., but it kind of is what it is, right? And some of just our everyday heroes right there. I saw Sheriff Donlin. I saw a few of these others in attendance here, people that get up, go to work, do their thing. There again, the state of our county is the state of the individuals. And yes, it kills me too. Oh, what happened there? Chamber Outstanding Award. James, I'm not sure what that award is. Perhaps most beers drank in a Lions game Thanksgiving. I always got a poke shot at him. Once again, thank you. Just for everybody really coming together, and truly the collaboration to make it happen. We got a lot of great things going on here. And with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Carrie Hepting because I can dream all these great things up. They're not all good ideas, but Carrie ultimately has got to execute them, and we're very fortunate to have her as our administrator. So with that, come on up, Carrie.
All right, thank you. Thank you everyone for being here today at the 13th State of the County Address. 2018 was a great year, and I am pleased to be here today to tell you about all of our accomplishments. By far, one of the most important functions that a government does is to be good stewards of your tax dollars. Anyone that's worked with me for any length of time knows that I take that pretty seriously. All spending is carefully scrutinized to ensure that it meets the goals of the community and the Board of Commissioners. It's important our resources are allocated to ensure we meet citizen needs. Here's a breakdown of our 2019 budget. The allocation among categories remains consistent from prior years. More than half of our revenue is derived from property taxes, and public safety continues to receive the largest portion of our spending. Over 70% of our general fund budget is actually spent on services that are mandated by law or state constitution. The remaining budget, while those services are not mandated, they are essential for county operations. The county's budget is showing slow but steady growth. In 2019, our budget grew just slightly over 2% from 2018, and our property tax values continue to climb. Unfortunately, due to Proposal A, our revenue grows at a rate that is much slower and not reflective of our expanding economy. This chart illustrates the effect of the rapid decline, and while Proposal A limits our growth. Based on our future trends, we will not be back to our 2008 tax levels until the year 2022. Since taxes make up 54% of our revenue, it is a challenge to keep up with the greater demand for service that comes with an expanding economy when your revenue growth is limited. However, the county believes in living within its means. For that reason, we have remained fiscally sound. Our reserves have grown during times when many governments have chose to deplete theirs. As our annual budgets grow, our policy is to grow and maintain reserves within best practices of 15 to 20% of our annual budget. The Board of Commissioners also made significant improvements towards reducing our unfunded liabilities. They implemented a 3-year strategy of plan design changes along with increases to county contributions, and this resulted in a 50% reduction in our unfunded liability to retirement health care and increasing our funding level to 54%. Our pension fund continues to grow and is currently funded at 93% based on our most recent actuarial valuation. Statistics from the state of Michigan show that the average funding level for post-retirement benefits is only 32% and 75% for pension systems. So as you can see, our plans are much better positioned than many of our peers. Events and attendance at the Blue Water Convention Center have continued to grow. In 2018, we hosted 184 events, which was a 16% increase from the prior year. This included 7 conferences with over 2,400 attendees. Overall attendance at events increased 33% to just over 40,000 visitors to our convention center last year. The positive momentum is continuing into 2019. We currently have 12 conferences booked, and we expect to have over 200 total events. These events and attendees translate into millions of dollars being spent in our communities at our local hotels, restaurants, and businesses. Here's some key economic indicators that demonstrate our progress. We had almost $118 million in new investments with 766 new jobs created last year. Our median household income and per capita income are increasing at a rate greater than inflation, and we have fewer individuals living in poverty. Our home values increased 8.6%, and our median home values are almost 7% greater than the state average. Hotels bring important investments to communities. In addition to creating jobs, they are a cornerstone for economic activity. They provide increased tax revenue, capital investment, and tourism-related development and promotion. We have several developments underway currently. The restoration of the St. Clair Inn has been nothing short of amazing to watch. The developers are producing a first-class result. This $35 million investment will once again make St. Clair a destination. In 2018, they chose to further invest in our county by purchasing the Harrington Inn, and both of these hotels are slated to open later this year. Construction on the redevelopment of the St. Clair Middle School is expected to continue this year as well. As someone that attended St. Clair Middle School, I'm actually kind of excited to see the end result. You know, the room where I sat in Mr. Cedar's 9th grade civics class will now be somebody's apartment, so that's kind of fun. City Flats Hotel in downtown Port Huron is also underway. The Kitchen Cafe is already open, and the ballroom is expected to open in May. We'll all be able to see those results firsthand at the Chamber's Eddie Awards on May 10th. The county's top 5 taxpayers are all utilities. DTE is our largest, and they make up 13% of our total property tax revenues. The county has significant utility infrastructure that makes us a leader in energy production in southeast Michigan. We are pleased DTE chose St. Clair County and East China Township to locate their new gas plant. This plant will replace the aging St. Clair plant that is slated to come offline in 2023. Enbridge is also undertaking a large project in St. Clair County to replace the segment of Line 5 that runs under the St. Clair River. This 645-mile pipeline transports up to 540,000 barrels of petroleum products each day that are refined into propane, gasoline, diesel fuels that are vital to all who live and work in Michigan communities. While we've seen a lot of growth and success, we still have areas of concern. The Health Department, along with numerous community stakeholders, has been evaluating the results of the Community Health Needs Assessment that was completed in 2017. Through multiple community meetings and input sessions, priorities have been identified and input sessions have been made and action plans are underway. One key priority that comes as no surprise is substance abuse. Last year, we spoke about the efforts being made to address addiction in our county. The St. Clair County Prescription Drug Abuse Work Group meets monthly to identify, treat, and reduce prescription drug misuse. This group is focused on education, prevention, and treatment for those struggling with addiction. In 2018, they hosted 10 events and 22 community and school presentations. They have also partnered with the recovery community to produce several videos highlighting local people in recovery. Our drug task force also remains busy reducing the amount of drugs and dealers on our streets. Our increased millage has allowed them to double their efforts. The results of their efforts for 2018 are shown on the screen. Our Sheriff's Department also, along with other community agencies, provide drug take-back locations and events to allow residents to properly dispose of unwanted or unused medications. The County Intervention Center has had a residential substance abuse treatment program since 2006. This is a 90-day intensive program that addresses substance abuse along with the criminal behavior. A recent addition to this program has been the addition of Vivitrol to the participants prior to release. We have partnered with Sacred Heart to provide the lab work, medical evaluation, and case management. This program promotes recovery, reduces recidivism, and helps with a smooth transition back into the community. The County Health Department has distributed over 1,800 naloxone kits since 2016. They have also trained 2,600 individuals in the proper use. Expanding awareness and availability of this medication is a key part of the public health response to the opioid epidemic. Research shows that when medication and overdose education are available to community members, overdose deaths decrease in these communities. Twenty-six 26% of the housing units in St. Clair County are rentals. Of those, 47% of those renters are considered cost burdened, meaning they're paying 30% or more of their income towards their rent. 24% are considered severely cost burdened, meaning they're spending 50% or more of their income on monthly rent. These numbers have improved slightly since 2016, but they are still an area of concern. It highlights the needs for affordable housing and starter homes in our communities. Our population has also remained relatively stagnant. While our over 65 population increases, we are seeing decreases in school-age children and working-age adults. In order for existing businesses to thrive, we need a skilled workforce. The most recent forecast data from Southeastern Michigan Council of Governments shows this trend will continue. The county is seeing an increase of retirements as a result. On average, annual retirements are increasing with almost 20% of our full-time employees eligible to retire within the next few years. We've had retirements in several key positions in the past year, including our Director of Dispatch, our Director of Emergency Management and Homeland Security, and our Undersheriff. In key positions such as these, succession planning is critical. We make every effort to identify a successor so there can be overlap and proper training to avoid any interruptions in critical county services. In order to attract young families to our area and to promote tourism, we need to continue to promote and expand our recreational offerings. Convenient access to culture, entertainment, and recreation is critical. A high value is placed on outdoor recreation. Studies have shown that the development of trails lead to increased property values along the trails in the trail system. St. Clair County and the Community Foundation, along with numerous community partners, are in the process of developing an updated strategic plan that will identify the existing gaps in the county trail network. An economic impact analysis of our region's trail system is currently underway, and the county is doing a full evaluation of our existing trail system to assess the long-term maintenance needs. Together, these three initiatives will provide a detailed blueprint to go after funding from federal, state, and philanthropic organizations. The ultimate goal is to complete the Bridge to Bay Trail, the Wadhams to Avoca Trail, and tie in to the Macomb Orchard Trail, which will connect us to the larger Great Lake to Lake Trail, which begins in South Haven and ends in Port Huron at the Fort Gratiot Light Station. In addition to our land trails, St. Clair County boasts over 150 miles of mapped water trails, containing 17 routes on 10 different bodies of water. There are over 50 public water access points, and these include 8 universally accessible kayak launches. Last year, 116 miles of our blueways were mapped via virtual water trail tours at Southeast Michigan Trail Explorer. Links to these virtual tours can be found on the Blueways of St. Clair County's newly redesigned website. Additional Blueway priorities for 19 include this August, the Blueways is partnering with Michigan Trails and Greenways Alliance to bring the legislative paddle to Marine City. Michigan legislators and others from across the state will paddle the Bell River. They will enjoy lunch and hear speakers talk about the exciting things happening in St. Clair County. In August, they are also partnering with the Michigan Sea Grant and the Friends of the St. Clair River as one of the 12 sites chosen in the state of Michigan to host an aquatic invasive species workshop. Participants will learn how to use the app to identify and report invasive species in our area. Our departments were very busy in 2018, implementing many new initiatives. There it is. You'll see some of them listed on the screen here, but I would like to highlight a few. If you're not familiar with our Teen Health Center, it is located on the campus of Port Huron High School. They provide low cost and high quality health care. This year, they did an expansion to include mental health services. They provided almost 1,200 healthcare visits and 553 mental health visits. They also provided a LEADS program, which stands for Linking Education and Awareness of Depression and Suicide, at no cost to over 1,000 high school students. Our Park Commission, for the first time, has worked with for-profit vendors to have kayak and paddleboard rentals as well as food carts at our Fort Gratiot County Park. This was very popular and successful, and we are currently evaluating new proposals to expand this into the other county parks. MSU Extension partnered with St. Clair County Community College for the annual Explore Your Career event. This annual event gives attendees the opportunity to tour facilities, conduct hands-on career-focused activities, and speak directly with highly experienced faculty members from both institutions. And just last evening, the Board of Commissioners approved a new partnership with Port Huron Area Schools and our Sheriff's Department for a school resource officer to help keep our middle school students remain safe. In addition to the department initiatives, we once again have employees and departments being recognized for their exceptional service. Our county dispatchers have received the Public Safety Communications Team of the Year Award. Our agricultural education program through MSU Extension at the 4-H Fair was a Governor's Award nominee. And 2 individuals from our Parks and Recreation were honored by the Michigan Recreation and Parks Association for their achievements. County employees take pride in providing the best service to our residents, but their commitment to the community goes beyond normal business hours. Our employees spend countless hours volunteering and raising money to improve the lives of others. When we attempted to quantify what our employees do, the response was overwhelming. While this list on the screen is nowhere inclusive of the efforts, it demonstrates how our employees spend their time outside of work. It's clear that our employees understand and embrace the true meaning of public service. In closing, 2019 is going to be another exciting year of growth and new development. We will continue to work with our community partners on our challenges, and we all have a stake in the future of our county, so we need to continue to work together to realize our full potential. I once again want to thank everyone for being here today, your attendance, and taking an active role in the future success of our county. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. Thanks, Paul. I was wondering about that. At this time, it's panel time. So I'd like to invite Ron Chris from DTE Energy to come on up, and he's going to be our moderator today. And Ron, welcome to the podium.
Thank you. Can our panelists please come on up as well? Good-looking group, I might say.
Yes.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Ron Chris with DTE Energy. We've been doing this for a few years now, so I think many of us in the room are anticipating a great discussion amongst all of us today. How exciting of an event is this? We have a U.S. Senator, a state senator, a mayor, the chair of the county commissioners. This is a great event. Congratulations, Thelma. Way to pull this together. My guests will introduce themselves in a moment. Hello, Mark. Hello, JP. How are you guys? Good. St. Clair County got a U.S. senator at their state of the county. Just saying.
And we give liquor away.
Yeah. Saying they're stepping up their game. I just got to tell you a quick story. Thelma sent me an email a few months ago about this event, starting to lock down the dates and all that stuff. And she told me that she already had commitments from State Senator Dan Lowers and County Commissioner Jeff Bohm, and they're going to, probably have to change things up a little bit. I'm going, well, that's good, but I'm losing my guys, Freed and Fernandez. I mean, when I needed some time, I could ask them a question, and those guys could run 5 minutes a question and 5 minutes an answer. It kind of helps, so I don't have to come up with all these questions. And then she told me the third candidate was Mayor Dan Damon. And I just went, all right, we're good. We're good.
Never short on words. I don't want to let you down either, Ron, so.
I know. So, all right, gentlemen, by way of, I always like to do this, kind of the elevator speech. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves, a little bit about yourselves, your families, if you don't mind. Just kind of let the crowd know who you are and what you're about. And then quickly, what you're into, what's going on in from your perspective relative to St. Clair County. If I don't know who wants to start. State Senator.
We'll let the long-winded guy.
No,
We'll go to the middle first?
Yeah, we'll go to the middle first.
A middle child, too, so I'm kind of used to this. Well, I'm State Senator Dan Lowers. I remember it was 8 years ago I came to this for the first time, and I was a candidate, kind of sort of a candidate, I guess. I was a candidate, but I still didn't know any idea what I was getting into. So the room wasn't this full. But I have 3 children. They're all adults. The youngest is 22, the oldest is 28. And first term in the Senate, really enjoying it. I really appreciate Phil Pavlo and the work he did as a senator, because I didn't know in the House. It's kind of like when you're a young kid, you don't realize how much work your parents are doing for you. That's kind of how I feel now too. I didn't realize that traveling from Caseville to Anchor Bay is a pretty fair distance, and there's a lot of people to see in between. So really appreciate all the work that goes on there.
Mr. Bohm?
Jeff Bohm. We've lived in St. Clair since '72, and we were 4 when I moved up there. St. Clair High School graduate in 1986. Then I went off to the Harvard of the North, Central Michigan University. It's because I had a good fastball. Trust me, 2.8 with a 21 on my ACT. Not a lot of colleges wanted me. But then I met my wife up there, Carrie, and we have 2 daughters, Jessica and Christina. We spend a whole lot of time watching kids sports. I am in the fitness industry. I've been in that for the past 25 years, on the county board for 15 years now. And just really, I know it's been said multiple times, but collaboration, everybody working together, and it wasn't always that way. Like I said, 15 years ago, the communities would work 3 times harder to not work together, but it really takes everybody making it happen. You see that just by the investments. I think, Jeff Kotowski will echo that. There's a reason he's investing here. There's opportunity, but there's also, everybody working together to move it and make it a better place. So.
Mayor.
Is it afternoon yet? Yeah, it is afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Dan Damon. I am the mayor of Marysville. I'm also a St. Clair grad, 1994 St. Clair High School grad. I live in Marysville, obviously, and I own a business in Port Huron, so you can say that I'm all in St. Clair County. I've got 2 children, the eldest of which is also attending the Harvard of, did you say the Midwest?
Harvard of the North.
Harvard of the North, Central Michigan University, and I've got a junior in high school right now. My wife is a principal in the Yale Public School District. And, I think that I got involved I'm going to call it city politics for lack of a better term, when I just saw that there was a need. I had heard some rumblings about what may or may not be happening with our public safety department. I saw a need that I thought needed to be filled. I thought that I brought the tools to that job to fill that need. I ran for council in 2011, and once I got on council, I saw a greater need because I saw from the inside. I thought that Marysville was not living up to its full potential. So I am serving my 3rd term and final term as mayor of the city of Marysville, and my term will be ending here in November of 2019.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Thanks, guys. So let's get to it. So, Mr. Mayor, I want you to know that I had quite a star-studded, bright light event plan for the announcement of the sale.
And you got it.
Yeah. Just a small comment about that. The mayor and I, we first came in contact with each other back in 2012 as we started to work through the whole Marysville power plant and all things relative to that, from knocking it down to hopefully this great development that's going to be coming our way shortly. And there was a lot of mutual respect that I gained, and I think the mayor has as well. And we have a great friendship. And we had a couple of tough conversations, but we got through them well, and I consider him a good friend. So I appreciate that, and I'm sorry to see you leave your office of mayor. It's been a pleasure. But Mayor, is there anything else you want to add to the announcement today? A little bit of anything else regarding the Marysville site?
Well, so I made the announcement quickly because Bohm told me I had 30 seconds to make the announcement, which I kind of equate to telling my wife we need to be somewhere at 5:30 if we really need to be there at 6 type of issue. So when it comes to a little bit more of an expansive explanation, it's this. Since 2015, since we raised that building, I have considered the DTE site to be the economic linchpin, not only for the city of Marysville, but really for the Blue Water area. In the first conception that I had for the rebuilding of that site after the raising, it really was a mixed-use destination. It was a shopping promenade. It was maybe a hotel. It was some residential living, but it was really a place for gathering. It was a place where people could come and be a part of something. And when Jeff and I had a conversation just this past week, and, I've kind of been sitting on this for about a week, and it's been really tough because I wanted to make the announcement in a forum that gave it the credit that I think it deserves, and what better forum than the state of the county, because this really is an endeavor of regional importance. It's not just the city, but it is a regional matter. And so when Jeff and I spoke on Monday, and he shared with me what his vision for that property was, it fit hand in glove with what I had hoped and our city council had hoped and what our city administration had hoped the developer would do. The second part of that equation, I think, is that Jeff and his team bring the wherewithal to the table to actually do the project the right way. You know, my concern was that you might get a developer from out of town that comes in and buys it and sits on it for 5 years and does nothing with it. And I stressed the importance of that not happening with Jeff, and he assured me that that is not anything that he has in the plan. So seeing what he's been able to do with the St. Clair Inn, seeing what he's been able to do with the Harrington Inn, taking a look at the wherewithal that he has to get the projects done. I'm talking the mental wherewithal as part of that. I don't think that we could have a better partner in the redevelopment of the DTE site that we now all feel is so important, not only to the city but to the region.
And you did promise one of the roads to be named after me, so I'll be looking for that.
It's actually the garbage alley where the restaurants are going to empty out stray cats right in that area.
Got to start somewhere. So what a great article. Early February, Cranes Detroit. Once again, I think this is the 4th year they did a beautiful spread on all the greatness going on in St. Clair County. You know, the almost $40 million into the Inn, Harrington Hotel, as Jeff shared with us a little earlier. Senator, that's got to make you feel pretty good from a state perspective. Like to share your thoughts or comments on all of this?
Absolutely. You know, years ago, I think it was when things just started kicking off in Marine City with the Snug Theater and then the Riverbank, and there was some conversation going on, and I said, you know, my wife and I like to go over to Stratford, Ontario once a year and enjoy the theater and all that. And I said, you know, when we have the theater up in Lexington and you know, then we saw the activity in Port Huron. I said, you know, I remember having some conversations with people about, you know, you can almost see it coming here, St. Clair County, and even you know, Sanilac County, you know, start to even expand that throughout the thumb, that along the coast. You know, we could see something develop here that's similar to that, where we become a destination for people to come and spend their time, spend a weekend, spend a week traveling up and down the coast, enjoying the different places to stay, to eat, and go to the live theater. It's beginning to happen. And then, you know, in your presentation, Jeff, we're not even talking about all the Canadians that enjoy coming over here as well. There's a whole nother big chunk of population right across the water, and we really do have something unique here, and it's really been great to see the collaboration of the area. It's not my town versus my town anymore. It's how do we build this area as a whole, and that's really been the key to it. And a lot of credit goes to a lot of the people that are in this room, really.
I couldn't agree more. Jeff, Mayor, add to it anything about the Cranes article?
I just want to start, Randy Fernandez isn't here, but I'd like to give him a lot of credit because we were literally at our Blue Meets Green meeting, and Randy had said that, there was 120 people just recently attended that, and Randy had said we finally got all the issues cleared up with the DTE site, and it was like 2 days before that, Jeff's partner, Rick Barreca, was sitting in that Blue Meets Green meeting. Of course, he whispered to Randy, I want to buy it, and then Randy, boom, 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 hey, you're gonna get it, come on. That's my best Randy Fernandez invitation, right? Chicken with his head cut off. So we end up meeting later that night for dinner and had an offer a day or two later on the table. That's Randy's persistency right there. You know that better than me.
Absolutely. No
so
question.
big kudos to Randy. I just wanted to say that. And our Blue Meets Green, we had 120 people show up to be part of our regional planning. You know, everybody from, you know, we keep the politics out of the room because, as you well know, that just ends up in an argument. You can watch enough TV to get your blood pressure up over that. But we really sit down and prioritize, and just great stuff. Keep it going. I surfed through the worst economic downturn ever, you know, so, you know, that was tough.
Mayor, anything?
Just to kind of capture what they're saying, it's the synergy, right? It's the synergy of the people. I think I've probably said 50 times or more in the last maybe 6 months, you know, the landscape of St. Clair County has not changed, right? The river has always been where the river is. The grass has been green, the fields have been plowed, but what's changed is the landscape of the people. And when you have people with the mindset that raising tide is going to raise all ships, it changes the atmosphere. The progress that we've seen in St. Clair County isn't a result of something from a geographical perspective. It's something from an ideology perspective, and that ideology is being bought into by the public and the private conglomerates alike, and I think that needs to be recognized. It's been said probably 5 different ways, but if it wasn't for the people, we wouldn't be where we are.
Well said. All right, Senator, by informal poll, let's see if we can do this. We all know, we've heard enough about it, I think. There's probably more to learn. Everyone in the room, if you'd like, I'd like to see, by show of hands, who's in favor of the proposed gas tax that's being talked about? Who's in favor? Okay. Who's against? Senator Lowers, do you want to expand on that? I just did my Chris poll.
Enough said.
Probably better and more accurate than the Harris poll and all that stuff.
Well, I think, not surprised by the response we see there, and I haven't met a person yet who has added 45 cents to the price on the pump last time they filled. Not something that people are looking to do, and there's been a lot of talk about the need for extra revenue in the government. Kerry spoke to it, the slow recovery of government revenues, and that's understood and it's appreciated. I think as a society we appreciate how well especially our locals have done, and even in the state how we've turned that corner from living beyond our means to living within our means, paying down our debt, brings security and it brings people to the area, just like in the county here. But one of the things that isn't talked about is it's the people who pay those taxes too. And while we talk about government revenues not keeping up with inflation, our revenues have not kept up with inflation. The median household income in Michigan is $3,000 lower today than it was in 2005, and that's one of the reasons why people are responding, I think, the way they are. They're not looking forward to an opportunity to pay more taxes because their income has not recovered either. Now we're on the recovery. We are higher than we were in 2008, no doubt. We're heading in the right direction, and that's good. That's what we want to be doing. But as the average household has not recovered as either. That's why people are. I think everybody's willing to give what they can, but we haven't recovered ourselves yet. So it's difficult for government's revenues to recover faster than the people who pay those taxes, and I think that's why we are where we are.
Is there anything else floating around Lansing? It's easy to say, no, let's not do that, but are there any other ideas as opposed to doing that?
I think it's part of it is just understanding, unless your road is fixed, the roads are bad, right? I mean, that's part of it, or the roads you drive, the roads are bad. Pretty hard to move around last summer from one point to another without coming across construction. We've gone from investing $3 billion a year on a normal basis to $5 billion a year in the time that I've been serving. Prior to that, there was never any extra money going into state infrastructure for roads. So we've made investments, and that continues even under the plan that was passed last. That continues to roll out. We're starting to bump up against a point where contractors are kind of taking on all they can take on, and so I'm hoping that we will continue on the path we are and continue fixing as fast as we can and continue looking for those better ways to do things. We've got the chairman of the House Appropriations and former chair of the Transportation Budget sitting in the office here from the Blue Water area, from St. Clair County, and so we've got people in this room that are right on top of the situation.
We got county roads and a few city roads. I'm sure gentlemen want to weigh in on this road issue. Is it more state, federal type?
Truthfully, it's the best. When I get the phone call, the best thing that I can do is say, there's 3 county road commissioners. Here's their cell phone numbers. Give them a call. Our road commission has its own separate funding mechanism. We're one of 11 counties that put some money in a road match program, and Dave Rushing's in here. He understands, coming from the township capacity, how important that is for the smaller communities. I think overall, our roads aren't bad, but it is a very complex issue, truthfully one that's arguably over my pay grade. But the road commission is somewhat, Tim Ward, he's our new road commissioner. He's got all the answers. I should probably defer that question to Tim. And I've got a cell phone number, 434-6380.
Mayor, any comments from the?
Yeah, so roads and pensions, from the city perspective, they're the two biggest focuses we have. Every budget session that I've been involved in since I first got on council in 2011 has involved the discussion of roads and pensions, right? So when we take a look at roads, we're seeing our residents in the grocery stores, and we're seeing our residents at the football games, and we're seeing the people who live on those roads that they have a direct access to us, right? What concerns me about, the gas tax or the proposal or anything that may come out of Lansing is will it actually filter down to the local municipalities? Will it filter down to local government? We get our Act 51 money, we take a look in our budgets of our local roads and our major roads, and we try to figure out how to best spend those dollars. But, one of the concerns I have is, I don't really think that the 45-cent gas tax will pass. But even in the event that it were to, or something of a similar nature, are the local municipalities, townships, are we going to see any of that to assist us in our failing infrastructure? And I don't think we do. I think that that's really focused on bridges and interstates and the big dollar items, not 4th Street in Marysville.
Okay, Senator, another one floating around up there in Lansing, I know, auto insurance reform.
Right.
I know your counterparts down in the city probably are pushing hard for that. I'm not sure where is that at in Lansing?
Sure.
Any insight?
Well, as vice chair of the Insurance and Banking Committee, this is front and center for me right now, and we've been going through a process with the high turnover in the legislature. There's a necessary educational process that has to go on to get kind of everybody on the same page of understanding. Rather than be distracted about exactly how, I guess I would speak to the widespread agreement that we need to lower the cost of auto insurance. And if you stay at the high level and ask yourself, why is it? And we've been doing that in committee. It's pretty clear for just a couple of reasons. Number one being that because of the way the laws are written, and there's no, when I look at these things, I don't see animus or ill will on the people that are participating in the process now. Some people can read it that way, but the legislature wrote that law back in the early 70s, and people are applying the law as written. They're operating within the law, but the problem is the law is written in a way that says whatever's needed. It's unlimited. And whenever you have an unlimited finance source, think about offering that to your children or something. When you have an unlimited finance source, you invite abuse and corruption. And that is really at the heart of why we have the high rates that we do. Abuse is, a relative term, and what one person calls abuse, another person might say is extremely reasonable, but we lack checks in that system, and it's unlimited, and so therefore we have tremendously high expenses, and people are in broad spread agreement that something has to be done about it. And I really think that the legislator is at that point where we're going to get something done about it and bring the high cost of auto insurance down. I think we'll still come out with Michigan having probably the most generous or the best auto insurance available out there in the country as we do now. But I think it's at some level, we're going to take some of that unlimited nature out of it just to try and put a cap on the invitation to abuse and if you will, steal from the system.
long nights on that issue. I can only imagine. You think something in 19, or it's going to take a while? Just
No,
for
I
the
think
education?
I think in 19. I think we'll see it this year. There's if you look at when I talk to the constituency out there, I mean, the one thing that legislators can do that would have the greatest impact on everybody's income is to lower the high cost of auto insurance. As a father of 3 and 7 vehicles, I'm all in for it.
Yeah, my kid turns 16 tomorrow, so get it straight
you want
quick.
it done
would
soon,
ya?
yeah. Is there anyone here from Secretary of State? Make sure to stay on top of the phone residents.
So I want to be respectful of everyone's time. I have a few other things I'd like to ask, but I just want to offer the mayor. Mayor, do you have any comments before we kind of close this thing out? I know this is your last stay here, so.
Oh, you mean in general or about auto insurance?
No, not about auto insurance. We'll, just in general about
Yeah.
your tenure in city council. and
You
mayor.
know, you know what? Thank you. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to say that. And, you know, you made some comments at the beginning of this about how we met. And I too value our friendship. It was...
You remember he was screaming at us on the phone? I was sitting in that room and he was going nuts.
It wasn't screaming.
Yes, you were.
and look how far we've come, right?
I
Look
remember.
how far we've come.
You kept saying, I can't hear you, I can't hear you, so I'm just talking loud,
Oh, yeah.
talking loud. Now
We're
you-
gonna rezone that. What?
See, I thought you just kept telling Fletcher to hang up. I don't remember what the rest of that was.
But anyways,
But that was, yeah, that was many years ago, and look how far we've come,
That's
right?
right.
So thank you for the question. The answer is this. I have absolutely loved serving the city of Marysville, without any question. It has been one of the greatest experiences of my life. It has given me an opportunity to serve what I think is a purpose much higher than something just for me. I never would have gotten involved if I didn't think that I could bring some value added to the office of the mayor of Marysville. I think what we have been able to accomplish in the last 6 years is not simply because of me, but because of the team that we were able to put in place since 2013. The city of Marysville, you know, I'm a St. Clair guy, but the city of Marysville has adopted me and held me out as one of its own, and I could not be prouder to serve this city and its residents. It was a difficult decision for me to decide to not run for reelection. We're in odd-numbered years. Our elections are actually up until 2 weeks ago. Our last odd-numbered year election will be 2019, and it was a difficult decision to not run for reelection. But I think that I will be able to serve the residents of the county of St. Clair in a different manner with some of I think some of the abilities that I have, and it is for that reason that I have chosen to not run for re-election. But the city is a part of my heart. It always will be. I have been able to meet and build a relationship with so many people in this room, and I thank God for that. And I don't say that lightly. I really do. I mean, I think God put me in the place that I am. I am very thankful for His intervention in my life, and I'm thankful for being able to meet and work with so very many of you. And, you know, this turnout is a testament to what makes St. Clair County special. And I'm just proud to be a part of that as well. So thank you for the question.
Thank you, Mayor. So he put out a little teaser in there, if he caught it, a little teaser for next year maybe, eh, Mayor?
You never can tell.
All right, so we always like to close with a little bit of fun here. Quick answers to a couple of easy questions. Daylight savings time. Do we keep bouncing back and forth? Do we fix it at the daylight savings time schedule, or do we just keep it at Eastern Standard Time? What's your thoughts? Just, yeah, huge issue right now.
Going to me
Huge.
first on that?
Yeah, that's over my pay grade. I don't.
I'm afraid if we fixed it, we wouldn't be able to talk about it anymore. Everybody loves to talk about that.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it really doesn't matter to me. I just assume leave it alone. But the key is getting all your neighbors in the other states and all that to leave it alone, maybe. So UP would love to see us quit because, you know, they have two different time zones and they're jumping all over the place, and people that work in Wisconsin you got to have two different watches or clocks or something, I think, to live up there. So
You have to do math to go to work up there.
yeah, imagine what that'd be like. Talk about the no-shows.
I think keep it at one. I think it's served its purpose. I think that purpose has been long gone, and I would keep it at one.
You know, as a kid who grew up on a dairy farm, and a lot of people say they do this for the farmers. Bull.
No pun intended. So, an even more relevant question. Will CMU men's basketball team get into the NCAA 64 tournament before Bohm collects Social Security?
The women are there.
I said the men's.
All right. Boy. Chances are I'm 50. If I go 65, 15 years, I'm going to say yeah. But, 15 years.
How about higher winning percentage, Lions or Tigers this year?
I'm sticking with green right now. Go green.
I'm going to say the Lions. Tigers are lousy.
I'll go Lions.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we've got a better chance there.
All right. Well, I just want to, first of all, I need to thank Thelma and her team. Thelma, great job today. The room's packed. Congratulations. I would like to thank the panel up here and all of our speakers today. Great job. I hope we provided some good information. Thanks, guys. And most of all, I'd like to thank all of you in the audience today. It's been a great day, and everyone in here should be proud for all that they do for this county. Thank you very much. I told you I had it all keyed up.
I think you caught your hair on fire there, Ron. It's gone.